Hi guys, we're gonna talk about wholesaling terms, beginner wholesaling terms. So first, motivated seller, they're basically the guys that you can make the most amount of money on. These are the guys you're looking for. Um, Foreclosure, probate, that's examples. Let me give you a good example. So basically, someone has to go to the hospital, they have to pay off for college, they have to pay something and they have property that they own that they need to sell fast. Like they have someone in the hospital, they have to pay the bill by the end of the month, so they're coming to you because you can close fast. Okay, so cash buyer, that's the investor that's going to buy your deal in cash that can close quickly. The purchase agreement, that's just what you're going to send to your seller for you to sign. We use Rabbit Sign. Assignment contract, so that's basically going to assign your original purchase agreement with your name on it to the new cash buyer. So ARV after repair value, our typical one is oh wait, so ARV, that's how much the property is going to be worth after it's all fixed up. If you're looking to find comp, this is how you calculate your MAO, your max allowable offer. So you typically do zero point 0.7 or ARV times zero point 0.7, uh, and then you minus repairs, and then after you minus repairs to get your assignment fee, you minus your assignment fee. LAO, I don't really look at that, but yeah, I try to have at least a $5,000 to $10,000 spread between my MAO and yeah, it's the highest price you make without selling. EMD, basically what you put down in a contract. For me, I don't ever put EMD down because all mine are off market. But when you're doing something with on market, agents always want you to put EMD down, and that's really just what you put down to avoid wasting the seller's time if you were to back out. Um, Kind of just show that you're serious about buying this house or buying this land, and you're not wasting anyone's time. And if you do waste their time, you get the seller gets your EMD. Okay, so dispositions, it's like you have a lot of people that do dispo services. So it's the process of assigning your contract to a cash buyer. So yeah. Um, Acquisitions. I got a VA that's doing my acquisition. Ooh, I need to add VA right here. VA. So dispo, that's like when you're signing your deal. Oh, I already said that. Acquisitions is like when you're talking to sellers, you're trying to get them to sell or you're trying to find deals, and that's basically acquisitions, getting the contract signs. Marketing, all activities used to find motivated sellers. That includes text blasting, driving for dollars, government lists, cold calling, reverse driving for dollars, right here. Bandit sign. The bandit signs are like the we buy houses signs around your city. And list pulling. Yeah, this is lead gen. This is basically lead gen. So VAs are basically they're virtual assistants. Mine's in Egypt. They're the ones that pull my list for me, and they call everything using a dialer. And a dialer is basically um dials numbers automatically for you, so you don't have to manually type the numbers in. It's a lot easier, but they do cost money. Why is it not working? We'll do different types of leads in a different video. The property and deal terms. So equity, that's basically the value minus what's owed on the property. So basically, the mortgage, the difference between the property value and the mortgage, and how much money you paid off on your mortgage is how much equity you have. Does that make sense? Double closing. So, and sometimes if the spread is too high and you don't want to risk anything, you will do what's called a double close. Well, you will get someone where you will basically get someone else's funds or your funds, and you will buy the property and you'll sell it the same day instead of assigning. So you do that so they cannot see the assignment fee on the HUD statement. Yeah, I'll add HUD statement down here. HUD statement is basically, well, actually, I'm about to get to that. Proof of funds, that's kind of just the document you show to sellers to show that you're a serious buyer and you're not just pulling their leg. You're saying that you actually have the funds to purchase the property. Wholesalers will either get their buyer's funds, or if they have enough funds, to show their own funds. So comping is basically when you try and find the ARV. So you look at comparable sales in the area. I have another video on this. It's on Redfin. Is what I use, but I also use Zillow. So yeah. Title company, it's the party that runs the title work. It's title insurance. You need title insurance so you can issue a warranty deed. If you don't have a warranty deed, then you're not able to get a loan or any loans, conventional or basically any loan on the property. And the title company closes your deal and disperses all the funds. Important to have a good title company. So when they do disperse the funds, there's a HUD statement, and that's going to have like your assignment fee on there. It's going to have everything on there, all the fees, kind of like a receipt, basically. Okay, so we got virtual and creative strategies. So virtual wholesaling is just doing deals in markets you're not physically in. Um, so for example, I do all my deals in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. That's where I'm located. But a lot of people, like people out of state, they'll do deals in Birmingham. Like my buddy, he's in PA and he virtual wholesales in Birmingham. And creative financing. So that's structuring deals without traditional loans, without using a bank. Subject to an example of this. So this is when you basically take over a seller's debt. A good example of this is when a seller is going to have to bring money to the closing table and able to close. So a lot of times divorces happen, and they bought a house a year ago. They had to put money down. They had to do all this, or they got a FHA loan, and they only had to put a little bit of money down. Um, so they basically, so when they divorce, they have to sell the property, and they're just trying to get out the property. Both parties, they just want to leave. They don't want to see each other again. So you can basically, subject to existing mortgage, you can take over their debt, and you can cover closing costs for them and agent commissions if there is an agent involved, and they don't have to pay anything eh, out of their own pocket at the closing table. I'm basically just barely describing it, and I'll do more in depth later on. Um, but yeah, you're basically paying their mortgage. You're basically paying the seller's mortgage on their behalf, so the mortgage still sits in place. It's still in their name, but you're paying it on their behalf. So yeah. Seller financing. So the seller acts as the bank and you pay them over time. A lot of times, sellers may want this to avoid capital gains taxes, or to deferred capital gains taxes. And so basically, there's a house, say there's a house, um, and it went up a lot in value. You can tell them, I'll put 10% down on the property and I'll make you monthly payments. And then a lot of times you can just refi out 7 years later with a different loan. So yeah, from a loan from a bank. Okay, so turnkey, that basically means the property's renovated and rent ready. A lot of people may lie when they say it's turnkey. It's a widely used term, but yeah, that's basically what it means. Boots on the ground. Boots on the ground is when you're virtually wholesaling, and it's someone who basically goes, checks the properties out, takes photos, and meets sellers for you, or just puts a lockbox on the property. Um, Lockbox. So a lockbox is basically you need to have a lockbox on the property because if you're having your seller meet with buyers from out of state, if you're out of state wholesaling, it's going to be a mess. And I really don't recommend it. Get a lockbox on the property, and whenever a buyer wants to come, they can put the code in and record on their own. So yeah. So JV, that's when you sit in agreement with another wholesaler to split a deal up. A lot of times, a seller or one wholesaler will get a property under contract. They can't find a buyer, so they will make a JV agreement, and they will have another wholesaler find a buyer for them. So basically, how that works is the original wholesaler's name goes on the purchase sale agreement, and they make a JV agreement, and they send it to title. And on the assignment agreement, both wholesalers' names are on the assignment agreement. So yeah, that's basically it. There's a lot more I barely touched on, a lot of stuff, but this is basically the this is like most of it. I didn't go into that big of talking about a lot of these stuff, but yeah.